Research Project, Crusades by Aleya Marie. For my research project, I will be sharing my research on how the Crusades influenced the religious art produced between the 11th and 13th centuries, while using the 4 tools of artistic critique on 2 images of art from the period. This relates to our course, Prehistoric to Gothic Art History, because the Crusades took place between the 11th and 13th centuries. The Crusades influenced the religious art produced between the 11th and 13th centuries using 2 details. 1. Imagery showcasing opposing sides of a battle, one winning while the other losing. 2. Imagery demonstrating the interplay of religion and war. First detail. Just desserts, divine favor, a thanksgiving, Samson, mightiest of men. In my first observation of the picture, my eyes were drawn to the large stone tower displayed to the right. There are 2 people, one male and one female, standing on top of the tower. The man held an axe while the woman held what looks like a piece of millstone. The man had lodged his axe into another man, who was climbing up a ladder. Furthermore, there is a man on the ground who was holding the ladder up with his arms. The woman was looking and aiming her piece of millstone down at the man, who was crouched on the ground, with a piece of millstone resting on top of him. To the left of the crouching man was a crawling man with a sword lodged in his neck. The sword belongs to a man standing to the left of him. The people on top of the tower are in a higher place, while the people on the ground are in a lower place, demonstrating the difference between them. This analysis extends to the man on the ladder because he is shown to not belong to those on top of the tower, and rather he belongs to those on the ground, through 2 details. 1. The man on top of the tower is acting negatively towards the man on the ladder, by lodging his axe in him. 2. The green shirt man on the ground is assisting the man on the ladder. By supporting the ladder with his arms, he displays his loyalty. Moving on, the 2 groups of people are fighting each other. The picture demonstrates their opposition through 2 details. 1. The people on top of the tower are actively aiming their weapons at those on the ground, as shown by the man lodging his axe into the man on the ladder, and the woman dropping her millstone on top of the man on the ground. 2. The people on the ground are actively pursuing those on top of the tower, as shown by the man climbing up the ladder. Lastly, it is worth noting that although most people on the ground are sustaining injuries, those on top of the tower have none. This picture depicts 2 opposing sides of a battle. Those on the ground are losing the battle, while those on the top are winning. The Crusades were a series of waged religious wars between Muslims and Christians, which were 2 opposing sides in the battles they fought. Similarly, this religious art piece depicts 2 opposing sides in a battle. Furthermore, both the Muslim and Christian sides of the war won and lost battles. Similarly, this religious art piece showcases one side winning over the other side in the battle. Second detail. The longest day. Israel's enemies humiliated. In my first observation of the picture, my eyes were drawn to the 2 bright white horses depicted in the center. A man sits on one horse, while another man sits on the other horse. Both men are wearing gold helmets and light red shirts. One man wields a spear, while the other man wields a sword. The spearman looks down at the man he penetrated with his weapon. The penetrated man, wearing a crown, is depicted to be falling off his brown horse. The swordman looks up to the sky. Most of the left side of the picture depicts armored men with weapons pointing to the right. The far right side of the picture depicts armored men without weapons. Some men are leaning with their bodies to the right, but all are looking up to the left. The left side armored men of the picture are encroaching on the right side armored men. The left side armored men are facing right, while the right side armored men are facing left. These positions help to communicate that there are 2 different groups, each with their own motive: move left or move right. Furthermore, the left side armored men of the picture are depicted with weapons, demonstrating their intent to harm the right side armored men. Additionally, the right side armored men of the picture are mostly not depicted with weapons, except for the speared kingman, who carries a sword on his belt, demonstrating their intent on harming the left side. The helpless depiction of the right side is intentional, demonstrating that the right side is winning, while the left side is losing. The two men, identical with gold helmets and red shirts, on the two bright white horses, one looking up at the sky, the other looking at the speared king, demonstrates the two different points of focus for the two identical men. The two identical men on the two bright white horses, with their two different points of focus, represent the interplay of religion and war. For example, the man looking up to the sky representing the heavens, and therefore the divine and spiritual, focuses on religion, while the other man, looking down at the speared man, focuses on war. Furthermore, the two men are not separated by their points of focus, but rather are depicted as identical to show the interplay occurring between them. The Christians who fought in the Crusades were motivated by their religion to go to war, and while they fought in the war, they were motivated to follow their religion. In other words, following religion causes war, and war causes the following of religion. Therefore, this interplay of religion and war during the Crusades directly influenced this art piece's depiction of the same interplay. Thank you for watching my Crusades research project.